What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, giving you commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Let's get started with tonight's show, Friday Night Smackdown. This was not the best ever, but one of the best ever. And it's very important because as a fan, you oftentimes hear, let me make sure this thing is standing up straight. You oftentimes hear, as a WWE fan in wrestling comments, those 2 minutes are better than the whole 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. Or those 5 minutes are better than the 2 hours of SmackDown. That's gotta stop. And tonight was one of those episodes where there was no dull moments. The whole show was interesting. Starting off with Shinsuke and Big E Langston, who needs to be a preacher, by the way, went in a tag team match, against Baron Corbin and his Downward Spiral, alongside Apollo Crews in a tag team match, which saw Shinsuke and Big E win. Last week, I will say this, Big E sounds like he should be a preacher, because last week, for those of you who saw Talking Smack, Big E was very entertaining, very charismatic, and very encouraging, and very uplifting about manifesting and believing, and the power of positivity. So, moving on, speaking of downward spirals, Bayley has dug a hole. Me and my big mouth, says Bayley, because Bayley has pushed Bianca to the point where Bianca says, now I have to embarrass you. And as God is my witness, I said to myself, it's going to be an I quit match, because when she said, I'm going to embarrass you, Bayley, to the point of no return, I knew it was only going to be that match right there. And who knows, the stipulation will be added alongside the I Quit match 2 weeks from Sunday at Money in the Bank. 1 week from Sunday, I apologize. It will be added, or should be added, that Bayley will have to put her career on the line because she stuck her foot in her mouth. And that's something you don't do in wrestling. And I think she's going to pay, because my prediction is Bayley says, I quit. I always say Bayley looks like Raven from Teen Titans. Azarath Metrion, I quit. In my personal opinion, I'm rooting for Bianca Belair to win and retain her championship and finally move on to someone more deserving. She's had 2 shots already. Not saying that she's not deserving. She's the longest reigning SmackDown champion in history. But it's time to write new chapters and not play the same encore episode, if you will. Moving on from that part, we also have an amazing last man standing match where I was behind Kevin Owens the entire way. Into the fact that when Kevin was pushed off the turnbuckle into the double tables that were stacked right next to the turnbuckle post on the floor, I honestly thought that Kevin Owens was down and out. I was like, come on, Kevin, get up, you gotta get up, please. And keep in mind, that's the same move that defeated Kevin Owens when he went one-on-one with Dean Ambrose, who we now know as Jon Moxley from AEW. And that's the same move he lost to. So now we have to see this match, and I was so worried he wasn't going to get up. I was really worried, but he got back up. I became worried again when 2 haluva kicks were delivered, in which Sami Zayn goes for the running boot while a person is pinned to the turnbuckle corners, the ring corners rather. But thankfully Kevin Owens got up from that and delivered a powerbomb through the announce table, then delivered a powerbomb through another table, and then the third one on the apron, which 5 years ago put Sami Zayn out of action for several months. And 5 years ago was the start of their bitter rivalry, which came to a screeching halt here tonight on Friday Night Smackdown. I'm glad Kevin Owens won that match, and Sami Zayn, that's karma. It's a beast, and karma's on his side, and it's a beast. Someone sung that song. But either way, Sammy got his karma, and Kevin Owens is going to Money in the Bank as one of the contestants for that match 1 week from Sunday. What an amazing match. I was behind Kevin the entire way. And like I said, this was one of those nights where there was not a dull moment. But speaking of the smallest moment of the night, I will say this in humor that Otis, I call him Otis the Evil Ogre. But I call him that from a sports entertainment standpoint, not a real life standpoint. But from an entertainment standpoint, Otis may have shaved his hair and his beard, but he is still a beardless, hairless, evil Olympic ogre, in my personal opinion. And I'm just wondering who's going to stop the ogre, the evil ogre, the evil Olympic ogre. That's just entertainment, not for real. But moving on to more important business at hand. Last week we saw the return of Edge. And Edge started off the show talking about an amazing promo, how he should have been against Roman one-on-one. And I thoroughly agree. As much as I like Daniel Bryan, I thought the match at WrestleMania should have been Edge versus Roman for the WWE SmackDown Universal Championship. And it would have been great since it's spear versus spear, full Nelson or half Nelson, as we saw with his match with Rey Mysterio, versus the Anti-Venom. And now we learned that he has the Anti-Venom, the modified version of the sleeper hold crossface, and of course this other crossface move that is totally hilarious, where Edge puts someone in the crossface while having a stick in their mouth like this. It was hilarious. I cracked up, especially, I don't know what I cracked up more at. Edge's eyes, those horrible eyes. Spider-Man 1 reference from Tobey Maguire's version. Those horrible eyes. I don't know if I cracked up at Edge when he was delivering it, or the victim who has their eyes like, oh, it was hilarious. It's hilarious to me. But either way, if I see it at Money in the Bank, I'm falling out laughing. And if you want to put a compilation of WWE Try Not to Laugh, that is it. That is the thumbnail for Try Not to Laugh, because those eyes are hilarious. And speaking of eyes, let me go back to a point. Earlier, I don't know if I talked about this earlier, but of course, as we all know, Zelina Vega is back. And of course, she lost due to a roll-up pin. And that's no way to book somebody coming back. But hey, some people lose on their debuts or their returns. John Cena lost on his debut, but it was a heck of a debut. And it was a heck of a return for Zelina Vega. But I gotta say this for humor, and I know a lot of people have been saying this, but is 2021 the year of the roll-ups? It's just, I have never seen a roll-up inside Hell in a Cell like we did with Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, but we did. We're seeing a lot of roll-ups lately. Lots and lots of roll-ups. Roll up, roll up, roll up down the river. Just kidding. But either way, 2021 is starting to become the year of the roll-ups, in my personal opinion. And the year of the eyes. Last month we saw Seth Rollins in his eyes, and now we're seeing Edge in his crazed eyes. Not those eyes. I'm talking about the wide eyes. It was hilarious. And Edge sent the message to Jimmy Uso, who thought he was laying out a trap, because we're not idiots here. We're very intelligent people. Don't insult us. We all know Jimmy was laying out a trap for Edge, but thankfully, Edge was laying out the trap for Jimmy. And of course, gave room for Edge, whom I thought was going to deliver the Concerto. Instead, took the stick off the chair and delivered the move where we could see Jimmy Uso's eyes and Edge's eyes, which I think is hilarious. I don't know. I don't know what's more funny. Edge and his wide eyes are the recipient of the crossface, and their eyes with the stick in their mouth. Not to be confused with some bondage scene. This is a PG show. But either way, it was still hilarious. Hilarious seeing the eyes like that. And I can't wait to see that match, because Money in the Bank, ironically, has hosted a lot of WrestleMania dream matches. CM Punk versus John Cena, 5-star match in Chicago. And of course, Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. WrestleMania worthy match that happened at Money in the Bank. And this year is going to be a WrestleMania match that happened at Money in the Bank. But I bet you there will be no roll-ups. I know 2021 is becoming roll-up pin year, but there won't be any roll-ups this year at Money in the Bank. It's going to be plain victory. Someone's going down, and I can't wait to see the match. It is going to be 5 stars. That's all the time I have for you tonight. Hope you guys have an amazing 4th of July, and I will see you again for another edition of The Danny Show.